and gentlemen, up next, the Great Expansion, a new energy economy. Please welcome CEO Curio 55, Ed McGinnis, Governor of Alaska, Mike Dunleavy, and founder and executive director of Power the Future, Daniel Turner.
I'm here. Oh, you're here? Oh, wait. There we go. Right, you're like, Governor, you're in the middle. It's like we've got a dating game. Great to be with you. Hello, CPAC, and thanks for joining us on this panel about energy. An expression I say often, energy is everything. First thing you did this morning when you woke up required energy. You probably turned off your alarm, you took a hot shower, you looked at your phone to see what President Trump did during the night, you brewed some coffee, and the very last thing you will do tonight before you go to bed requires energy. Turn off the light, set your alarm. Energy is everything. And as President Trump says, if we're going to enter into this golden age of America, we are only going to do so with affordable, reliable, abundant American energy. So it's great to have a panel to talk about this with two gentlemen who don't just love energy, but because of that, they love humanity. I'm with Governor Mike Dunleavy, the 12th governor of the great state of Alaska.
Thank you.
And Ed McGinnis, who's the CEO of Curio, one of the most innovative nuclear companies in the country and in the world. And we're going to talk about energy. And Governor, if you don't mind, I'm going to start with you. So January 20th, plethora of executive orders. And yet Alaska got its own. Pretty remarkable. The first state to ever get its own executive order. Why was this necessary for Alaska? What happened?
Well, President Trump, for many reasons, has always had an affinity for Alaska, even in his first term, but he sees us as a solution to many of Americans' problems. As many people know, Alaska was purchased from Russia in 1867 because of its resources. Vast amounts of oil, vast amounts of gas, vast amounts of minerals, 49 of the 50 rare earths, millions of acres of trees, fish, the list goes on and on and on. And we've had a difficult past with some administrations. President Trump came on the scene, understood its importance to the world, the U.S. and the world, and when he came back here on November 5th, I got to tell you, November 5th, I don't know about you, but it was like Christmas for me, and I'm 63 years old, so I was hopping all over the place. But long story short, a lot of the issues that could help America are in Alaska, so they put together an executive order on mining, oil, gas, different oil plays, different gas projects. I mean, one of the largest projects in the world that we're working on right now is our gas project, which would have gas go down a 42-inch line, 800 miles, and then to Tidewater for Asia and our Asian allies. And so he sees that as a critical link in what he wants to do. And boy, he's moving at breakneck speed. I mean, just like you said, Daniel, you wake up in the morning, it's like, what happened today?
Yeah, it's remarkable. And everything we need in the energy space is in Alaska.
Yes.
And to open that up to America is great. Ed, there's a line on your website, on Curio's website, which I love, and it says, energy access promotes human rights. And I wanted to ask you to talk about that and elaborate on it. What does abundant energy mean for human rights, just for humanity, and how Curio can help solve that?
First of all, I want to say what a great time in history to be an American. And I just want to say that. Also, what a great time. I'm in the energy business. What a great time to be in the energy sector. We have a country now that is #1 in producing oil and gas. And we need to do the same thing for our other key energy sectors, including nuclear. And as Daniel said, we need affordable, robust, reliable electricity that is accessible to all. We need that fuel to drive this agenda for this country, realizing the full abundance of energy resources we have in this country. The days of taking highly valuable material, whether it's oil and gas, with the shale revolution, the way we've shown how we can tap that, or nuclear, where we're throwing away perfectly good, highly valuable nuclear fuel just because of international government policies. The day to start maximizing our energy resources in the United States is now. And we need to reshore our nuclear infrastructure just the way the oil and gas industry brought themselves back from the days of the 70s with a slow decline, the supposed peak oil, and then industry came in and innovated and found a way to tap through in that shale through directional drilling, through hydraulic fracturing. Now we are the #1 producer in both oil and gas. We can do the same for nuclear, but I can assure you right now, Russia and China are eating our lunch internationally on nuclear, and the implications go beyond civilian. It's time for this country to really snap out of it and whip our nuclear infrastructure and fuel cycle back into shape.
Back into shape. You know, we just finished 4 years of Scranton Joe. And you are Scranton Mike, if I can call you that. You're from Scranton originally.
I'm the other guy.
You're the other Scranton guy. But you both look at energy, and it comes to blue-collar jobs, working Americans. You see it very differently. Why is our vision, the conservative vision, why is your vision, especially for Alaska, so much radically different than Joe Biden's?
Because I think President Biden seriously was hijacked by extreme environmentalists in his term. We both grew up in Scranton. We heated with coal when I was a kid. We took out the ashes. We had anthracite coal. Anthracite coal was Scranton was the anthracite coal capital of the world, built this country. But we were not rich, and that's the thing about energy. You know, in Alaska, we build policies for the single mom with 3 kids, and that includes energy and accessibility energy. But I don't know what happened there with President Biden. There was a time I think he was pro-energy, but again, I believe he was hijacked. And the past 4 years for Alaska has been nothing but brutal. I mean, executive order after executive order. We had 66 to 68 what we call sanctions put against Alaska by our own federal government. Those were more actions, more sanctions put against us than put against Iran or Venezuela. So in essence, our own federal government, our own federal agencies were at war with the state. The very state that was brought into the Union in 1867, purchased from Russia for our resources and our energy potential. And so, again, I believe President Biden was hijacked by the environmentalists. There was a social engineering program that was foisted on the backs of this country. And boy, oh boy, I guess the sun rose again on November 5th. That's all I can tell you. It's like Christmas every day now.
Absolutely. You know, and Ed, you were just saying how Russia is eating our lunch when it comes to nuclear. And one of the things that President Trump talks a lot about is artificial intelligence. Signed an executive order on it. And projections say that we need 2 to 3 times the amount of electricity production to win the AI revolution. What's the role you see of nuclear so that China doesn't eat our lunch when it comes to artificial intelligence?
Absolutely, we have a key role. That's why you see some of the big tech companies now investing in nuclear. We want to complement what oil and gas is bringing to the table. And our nuclear power systems can provide what we call behind-the-meter power dedicated for these data centers. And what that does is it helps prevent the inadvertent increase on the residents in the states where those AI data centers are going to be, and it helps insulate them from the potential of having escalating electricity prices because of these big data centers coming in and needing a large portion of power. So dedicated nuclear with a sustainable approach of recycling all that so-called nuclear waste. Most people in the United States don't realize that nuclear fuel, when we spend hundreds of millions of dollars producing that fuel, mining the uranium, it runs in a reactor for about 5 years. Government policy has been in the past to try and throw it away. How many people realize that after it's run in a reactor for 5 years, you've only used about 4% of the energy value? You have enough energy value left in that used nuclear fuel to meet U.S. electricity needs for 150 years. So we need to stop throwing away this material. It's like buying a beautiful Cadillac Escalade and driving it for a month and then throwing it away. I don't think those would like that.
No.
So I think that we need to be common sense again, and we have to maximize our natural resources, recycle this material, and Russia recycles, and they end up dominating the fuel supply market in isotopes. So I'm confident that if we get the nuclear sector on a good footing, like oil and gas, and we can do it, they will be able to respond to the AI data centers and increased demands on our finite grid.
And government policy has driven a lot of these problems. And
it is
government
primarily a function of government policy, nonsensical, and policy that's not looking out for the residents but of the states, but really focus on international issues having nothing to do with the benefit of
bad
the
government
community.
policy has ruined a lot of rural America, and that's why I started Power the Future, for those energy jobs, coal miners in Appalachia, rural energy jobs where bad government policy, radical green policy comes in and destroys their livelihoods in their towns. And Alaska has a lot of rural folks, and what do energy jobs mean to rural Alaskans?
It means everything. In Alaska, most of our energy plays and our mining plays are in the rural parts of the state where our indigenous people live. My wife is an Eskimo lady from north of the Arctic Circle. My 3 daughters work in the largest lead zinc mine in the world at Red Dog Mine, an engineer, logistics officer, and a buyer. So when you close down an energy play or a mining play in Alaska, what happens? Those people don't get the opportunity to work. The local areas don't get the revenue. You offshore that to someplace like China. You embolden child labor. You embolden dictatorships. You embolden really wrecking the environment. And America loses. We offshore everything, all opportunities. In Alaska, this is an interesting stat. Since oil production began on the North Slope, our Inupiaq Eskimo folks on the North Slope where the oil comes from, their life expectancy has increased by 14 years in research that's been done. That is the greatest increase in life expectancy of any group in the United States of America, and that was due to oil production because they could then finance clinics, better runways, better schools, doctors, you name it. And so resource development, oil production isn't just good for us, it's good for everybody, and it's good for the entire world, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and it's good for those jobs in rural communities that don't have alternatives.
Absolutely.
As we run out of time, Ed, a final thought that you think our audience, I mean, these are the people that get stuff done, right? If you want to leave a message with this audience, this group of patriots, what should they know about nuclear going forward?
Nuclear is in a position to help us truly achieve energy dominance in the United States and globally. Just like oil and gas, nuclear is not just a domestic issue. When we develop our own independent capability in the nuclear sector, that has global implications. Right now, shockingly, we have almost all of our nuclear fuel provided by foreign suppliers.
Which is insanity.
Russia still, to this day, provides well over 20% of our nuclear fuel. We need to rebuild our domestic nuclear sector, and we know how to do it, and it's time now. And with this president, in this unique moment in history, we're going to do it.
And how much of these materials can be found in Alaska? Same deal, Governor. A final word for this great audience of what your state can do for the country, for the world, for peace.
So much more. I mean, we have uranium finds in Alaska that we can commercialize and assist with the industry. We have, as I mentioned, oil, gas, you name it, all of the critical minerals, all of the rare earths that we need to make sure that we have our technological approach not offshore anymore, but kept here in America. And I would say this, I want to leave the audience with this thought. You know, George Washington founded this country. Abraham Lincoln saved this country. I think history is going to show that Donald Trump would be the most transformational president we've ever had. And the next 4 years are going to be a golden opportunity for the United States of America.
Yeah, it really is. We don't need to buy oil from Venezuela or Iran. We don't need to buy it from the Saudis. We don't need to get critical nuclear materials from the Russians. We don't need to look to the Chinese for our cobalt, for our uranium, for our nickel, or so many of the rare earths and metals and minerals that are found in Alaska. We are entering this golden age of America. It's going to be remarkable. I marvel to think, with these last couple seconds to say, I marvel to think if we were here, but November had gone differently. The freak show of cabinet members we'd be talking about, the executive orders towards us, punishing you for just trying to bring Americans abundant energy.
Yes, the entire nation would have entered, I think, a dark period of time. And really think about it, it would have been just 4 years, because if there was a re-election, we would have 8 years of this, and we probably would have never gotten out of it. So thank God the election went the way
Thank God for November.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and thank God for our energy workers who are right now working in oil, gas, coal, and nuclear. They're powering everything. Energy is everything. And again, the last thing you'll do at the end of the day requires energy. And God bless the men and women who work in this sector tirelessly, that they have an advocate in President Trump, and they have an advocate in these, and a champion in these two great men as well. So thank you very much, and God bless. Thank you, sirs.